Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how to set up your Mike 206 lab notebook. What I have here is an image of an older lab notebook. Your lab notebook may or may not look like this, which is totally fine. All we're concerned about is whether it is a carbonless notebook. So make sure you have that for your lab, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so when you open up your lab notebook, your very first page should be your table of contents. Table of contents is going to be at the very top of the page, like I have shown here, and then the experiment number and name is going to be on the left side of the page, and your page number is going to be on the right side, or vice versa, however you would like to organize it, as long as it's neatly organized, and when the TAs grade it, they are able to easily find your experiments. After your TOC is completed, what you're going to do is leave a blank page just in case you need any extra room, and then the following page is when you're going to start your actual lab notebook writing. So on the top of the page, I have the experiment number that corresponds to the TOC, name, experiment name, date, page number, first and last name, partner's name, as well as day and time of my lab, and you should add your TA name as well. So in the body of the notebook, you're going to have the introduction, hypothesis, procedure, results, and conclusions. So the introduction is going to be the purpose of the lab, a little bit about the lab, and possibly some pre-lab questions that you have to answer, just depending on that experiment for the day. And then next is you're going to have your hypothesis. And then after your hypothesis, you're going to have your procedure. And your procedure is going to be listing the possible materials you used, the steps of the experiment, and I would recommend probably adding some modifications if you did make modifications to the procedure. And then that all stays on the left side of the page. So make sure your introduction, hypothesis, and procedure consistently stay on the left side of the page, even when you flip the page over. And I'll show you an example of that later. And the right side of the page is going to consist of results and conclusions. So your results are going to be any observations you have made, any images you have, and possibly any equations or math that you had to do, and as well as descriptions. So if you have images, make sure you put descriptions of those images in there. After your results, you're going to have your conclusion, and your conclusion is pretty much a discussion. It's a big discussion. You're going to talk about whether your hypothesis was supported, any errors, would you have done it differently, or were there any variables or stuff like that. So make sure you talk about all that in the conclusion in your conclusion discussion. All right, so the next page, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you have to continue. So if you have too much to write, here's what you do when you have to continue on to the next page. So this is what the continue page looks like. So as you can see, I recopied the title. So the name, the experiment number, the name, the date, my name, partner's name, as well as my TA name and date, but now it's a different page number because it's the next page. And then I kept the procedures consistently on the left side of the page, and then my results and conclusion on the right side of the page. So just make sure you keep it consistent with every experiment so it's easy to look at, and when your TAs grade it and everything like that, it's easy for them to know where everything is.